We all know that history repeats itself, or at least rhymes once in a while. There was a time way back in America during the 19th century when the good people of America were concerned that the American men were becoming increasingly effeminate, the effeminate man. This is one of the reasons that boxing was made legal in 1920. Among others, another reason, we'll get to that too later, taxes. But from 1895 to around 1919, boxing was either tolerated or outlawed in most of America. Yes, in America, boxing was for the poor people, the poor Irish people coming over here, the Italian immigrants, the Irish immigrants. It was a perfect sport for them to move up. They lived in squalor, really bad conditions in New York on the Ohio River. And if you were a tough Irishman or a Rocky Marciano, you could move up in class and stature. You could move on up the ladder of success. But most poor people just got their brains knocked in. The boxers got punch drunk. They end up bartenders, busted, disgusted. It's a tough world. I mean, who wants to get their brains beat in? And but it's funny how there were a large group of people in America who thought the American man was getting too sissified, he was getting too soft, too feminine, and that was one of the reasons why they legalized boxing. But the other reason was, of course, legalizing boxing was for the money, the fees, the tax on gross receipts of every match, and not to mention the gambling money. And the rich gamblers could fix the boxing matches, and mafia, everybody could make money on it. And so, of course, the main reason was money, money, money. But funny that there was a group of people way, way back then that thought the American man was getting soft and weak. Wow, what would they think today? Actually, that gets me thinking that they legalized boxing, right, for, tax revenue. I mean, how can we tax the transgender? I think, haven't they already legalized transgender? Yeah, I believe that transgender is already legalized. Don't hold me to it, but, I don't follow these new laws. But how can we tax the trans? I got it. Let's hold mud wrestling matches for the transgenders. We'll give them mud wrestling. And here's the thing. The loser of the match has to be Hillary Clinton's bitch. Oh, that's bad. Okay, that's my bad joke for the day. But what do these TV Zionists really think about us? You know these people. We're going to be talking about Mika here pretty soon. But before we get to Mika, here's what these people on TV, the people who run the media, the people who pick who you get to vote for, our rulers basically, they call us racist, xenophobic, anti-immigrant, anti-gay, conspiracist, anti-democratic. Duh. I mean, come on. Do you want people flying in, crossing our borders illegally, taking your job? No, you don't. Do you want your daughter to marry a transgender? I don't think you do. I mean, who do these TV people think they are? We're just normal, red-blooded Americans. We want to be normal, for God's sake. You don't have to call us names, you bastards. This woman's name is Mika. Well, I will assume she's a woman. Lately, I'm not very good at these things. But anyhow, she's on TV, so I don't have to tell you what kind of person she is or who she works for. That's self-explanatory. But she has crossed the line recently, and we should document her stupidity. Here's what she says. She says that rural white voters are a threat to democracy. It's laughable. White voters are a threat to democracy. I mean, it's laughable. I mean, I love how they always call our crony capitalism system a democracy. How can you call crony capitalism a democracy when the TV Zionists they literally pick who you can vote for? Damn crony bastards. And of course, we do realize this woman is just part of the show. She's just part of the carnival. She's just part of the worldwide fake wrestling political system that's going on. But for the love of God, I can't understand. How can she think that white voters are a threat to democracy, but this man who changed into a woman and turned into a colonel in the Space Force and leading boys to I don't know where, how can she not consider this thing a threat to our country? I don't get it. So I just heard that there was a transgender colonel in our Space Force leading our young boys into space, and I started to remember way back in 1982. I can distinctly remember the first time I went to San Francisco. It was 1982. I was stationed on the central coast of California at Vandenberg Air Force Base, so I just went up there to take a look. San Francisco is famous, right? And I got there and I saw two sissies in tight pants holding hands, and I was only 20 years old, and I thought I would literally have a coronary. My eyes must have been as big as eggs or whatever, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, this is 1982. I just could not believe two men holding hands, kissing on the streets. But there it was in San Francisco. I mean, I thought I was going to have a coronary, like old Fred Sanford. This is the big one, Elizabeth. Here I come. It's a big one. But that was way back then. The pendulum is always swinging back and forth, isn't it? See, now we're really, really a bunch of sissies in America. We know that. Really, I mean, the whole media is gay. Hollywood's gay. The gays have overrun the government. The gays, the gays have overrun education, schools, government. Is there nothing that the gays have not overrun yet? I mean, the pendulum has swung so far to the left now that it is just beyond ridiculous. But I guess my point in this video is this is not the first time in America that the people were concerned that the men were becoming too effeminate. Now, we cannot really compare the late 1800s to today because men were a lot tougher back then, and even maybe a guy taking a job in a library would have been thought of as effeminate. So it's hard to compare the 19th century to today, but my point is we do go through cycles in history, and the pendulum swings back and forth where there are times where the people start to get worried. The men are too effeminate, and something has to be done for sure.